It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. Let's start today in West Hollywood, where there's a proposal that is one indicative of the sad place that our world is in, but at the same time, I have a hard time really opposing it. The fentanyl crisis is awful, but there are two different things that people think about when you talk about the fentanyl crisis. There's the more obvious one, which is the homeless people that are littering our streets and our public transit and what have you, that are buying fentanyl for $10 a hit because they're so addicted to opioids. Regular heroin's not going to cut it anymore. And some of them even need to upgrade to something called car fentanyl. But that's not the only aspect of the fentanyl story. The other aspect, and maybe the worst one, because at least you can argue, well, the drug dealers are giving the people what they asked for. They want fentanyl. This is what they want to do with their lives. I mean, I know it's an addiction. And I'm sure as soon as the withdrawal symptoms kick in, it's probably like no hell these people have ever experienced. I get all of that. But that's the world that you're in. The other aspect of the fentanyl world is the people who are looking to do other drugs or buy prescription pills not at a pharmacy. And what do you know? That stuff gets stepped on, which is a term I learned on The Wire, where they take a very cheap substance, which used to just be, didn't you used to just cut stuff with baby formula? No. Now, they cut all the drugs with fentanyl because even though fentanyl is the most dangerous drug out there, it's still somehow also the cheapest to produce. It's so cheap to produce, it's insane. So there's people out there that, no, they would never do fentanyl, but maybe they want to do coke. Turns out there's fentanyl in the coke. You don't do that. Maybe they want a Xanax. Oh, there might be fentanyl in the Xanax. Don't do that. Maybe they're club kids. And you know what club kids do? Club kids love the Molly. Well, Molly is mixed with Fenty, and now it's not going to go so well for you. So in West Hollywood, they have come up with a new idea. What if we give away fentanyl testing kit? And this is, on the same lines of let's give everyone Narcan. So that way, in case somebody overdoses, whether that's intentional or accidental because they took something that was laced with fentanyl, well, they can take this and we can reverse that overdose. Although there are now certain strains of fentanyl that are mixed with something called Tranq, which is a horse tranquilizer that the Narcan doesn't work anymore. So we're going to have to figure out a new answer for that. But in West Hollywood, they want to start passing out testing kits for free to everybody. So you can test your drugs and make sure the drugs that you're doing are the drugs that you actually want to be doing. Again, it's sad that we're at this place. And sure, the best answer would be, yeah, you shouldn't do any of this stuff. But when we're talking about club kids and teenagers and 20-year-olds, they're going to do stupid things. I was a teenager. Well, I didn't do anything stupid when I was a teenager. I was kind of stuck up. But in my 20s, specifically when I was 27, I had a whole year where I did a whole lot of things I probably shouldn't have done. And I am very lucky, one, that I made it through that phase of my life intact, but also that when I went through that very experimental going to raves phase of my life, which a lot of kids in Southern California do, that fentanyl wasn't a thing then. In 2012, The worst you'd have to worry about is your ecstasy being mixed with some meth. That would be pretty bad. Or, gosh, there was something called spice people were freaking about. You know what? It's never been good. It's never been a good idea. And with the hindsight that I have now as a 40-year-old adult, I would love to go to my 27-year-old self and say, what the hell is wrong with you? But it's okay. I'm here at this point. But let's see what West Hollywood wants to do. Here is a report from KTLA.
West Hollywood is the latest city to provide free fentanyl testing kits to its local residents as officials there continue to battle this deadly opioid crisis right here in Southern California. Hello, everybody. This is the KTLA 5 News at 6:30. I'm Rick Chambers.
And I'm Corrine Winter. People who live in West Hollywood are eligible to receive up to 5 free fentanyl testing devices per month.
Well, it's
per month? That's like one for every weekend if it's a 5-week weekend. You know. If you're doing your party drugs during the week, you might have a serious problem. Although there's some kids, you know, I don't know if you know how this whole world works, but there's a whole generation of kids that don't like drinking. They didn't even really like pot, but they like to go to raves and they like to go to club shows and they like to do ecstasy. They like to do Molly. They like to do stuff that makes it more fun to dance. And if you're really an introvert, it'll make you an extrovert because all of a sudden you're not claustrophobic in a super hot club, regardless. Then there's the kids that they love that feeling so much. And again, none of this is good. None of this is, going to put you on the right path. But this is what people do. People have their phase with shroomies. And you can argue that's a little natural. Although, believe you me, one of the worst trips of my life was on shroomies. So that's not harmless either. None of this stuff is. I don't remember most of my 20s because of pot. Regardless of all that. Okay, let's say you understand the kids want to do the drugs when they go to Coachella, when they go to EDC, when they go to the clubs that are in Santa Ana. Yeah, there's a few of those. Well, that's one thing. But then they chase that feeling so much, they start to have house rolls. I got invited to one of these things once where you're not going to a club or a music festival. It's just a whole bunch of people in some college student's apartment taking ecstasy and, I don't know, playing on their phones and telling you how much you love all the people on there. Seriously. There are times where I'd like to take 27-year-old me and slap him across the face. But I got to where I am today.
Well, let's go to Sarah Welsh. She's live in West Hollywood. She's got more on this for us. Sarah?
Hey, Rick and Corrine, good evening. Yeah, we know West Hollywood's longstanding commitment to public health, and this initiative is all about saving lives.
And by the way, you know why I went into this whole club phase of my life and I started playing with the party drugs and I started going to all these things? At the time, I thought, this is how I'm going to get girls to like me. Oh, it's so embarrassing.
Earlier today, we spoke.
Isn't the full brain supposed to be fully formed by 25? Not for this guy.
Earlier today, we spoke with a woman who carries these test kits in her purse to give out to other people. Having seen the deadly fentanyl crisis up close and personal, she truly believes they can make a difference.
And by the way, there's a whole community of people that they want to do their club drugs. Sure. I'm sure there definitely are medicinal benefits to MDMA and certain kinds of therapies, and what it can do for trauma is incredible. But a lot of people want to do it because it makes going to raves and clubs a lot more fun. So there are these whole online communities. I think there's one called Dance Safe, where you look at the imprint of the pills online to know what you're actually taking. But even then, how do you know? I got to imagine maybe there are kids that are so paranoid about all this because of the fentanyl being stepped into everything. Maybe they're not doing this as much anymore. But then again, who's to say?
Concerts and festivals, hotspots for the fentanyl crisis.
And again, this isn't anyone that is intending to do fentanyl. They may be intending to do ecstasy, or some of them intending to do amphetamines, but You typically don't go to a music festival wanting to take a nap.
Singer-songwriter and DJ Courtney Page Nelson has seen firsthand the drug's deadly consequences.
I've had to physically with my hands, like Narcan people.
The artist, who also works in harm reduction at these shows, has witnessed 10
Is that a thing?
10 overdoses in the last year alone.
It's really eye-opening when that happens your first time.
And that's why she comes prepared with the Defent One test strips, a one-of-a-kind portable fentanyl detector.
They're compact, they're small, you could put them in your purse, you could tuck them away.
You would open it from the top here.
Within 3 minutes of testing, the all-in-one kit shows if fentanyl is in the substance.
The solution that we're trying to offer being an easier way for people to test that's more accessible, more reliable, and...
So is there going to be a whole bunch of kids going into the bathroom to use their flashlight on their phones to test the stuff that they have, see that it's safe, and they'll be like, all right, let's go, it's just Molly.
and hopefully encourage people to test.
The feedback has been largely positive.
West Hollywood Councilman Danny Hang is behind the effort to bring the fentanyl devices to his community.
The city's goal is plain and simple. We want to protect as many lives as possible and prevent overdoses and fentanyl deaths.
And this is, goes back to the campaign that started a few years ago, one pill can kill, which is true. Especially if you don't know what you're taking, because you don't have the tolerance for opioids. So a super opioid like fentanyl, it can kill you instantly. Maybe you can get revived quickly, but the people who are on the streets languishing, they take that stuff all the day. It doesn't really affect them. It's almost like that's how they get normal. It's so messed up. Our whole drug culture is so messed up. And it somewhat gets idolized with young people, but, there's a lot of people it doesn't end well for.
And opioid poisonings isn't just limited to opioid users. In recent times, it's been found in other substances that people use, which makes this crisis even more alarming.
Here's some direct...
Well, I think that's the point. I mean, maybe you want to pass out the fentanyl test strips to the homeless to make sure they're getting fentanyl and they're not getting ripped off, and it is baby formula. Although I think fentanyl's cheaper than baby formula.
Here's some directions that you can use to conduct a test.
Any West Hollywood resident can order directly to their home for free. And it's not just for the party scenes.
It could be somebody lost their health care and now they don't know how they're going to get their Adderall or their...
Okay, this is the other thing. Yes, there is the aspect of the party kids, but there's also the aspect of, and we've seen stories like this in high schools, and it's so tragic, but I don't care how expensive it is to go visit a doctor. If you need antidepressants, if you need anti-anxiety meds, I've never taken any of that stuff, so I don't know what it's like to be on it or not on it. But make sure you're buying it from the legitimate source, because there have been stories of people who took an anti-anxiety med and thought that it was, a Xanax, but it was laced with fentanyl. And one thing that I remember from many years of working with Dr. Drew Pinsky, who used to work at KABC, is that when you take a benzodiazepine, which is a anti-anxiety med, and you mix it with an opioid, that's the combination that will kill you.
Somebody lost their health care and now they don't know how they're going to get their Adderall or their Xanax or their depression meds, and you don't know what's in them.
We hope other cities use this.
Adderall. I used to hang around people that snorted Adderall. They also snorted the other stuff, but at one point they're like, let's snort Adderall.
We hope other cities use this as a model so that way they can protect their own residents.
And as part of her passion for performing, Courtney Page Nelson is on a mission to save lives.
Yeah, I want people to have fun, but I want them to do it safely. And so this is life-changing for not only other people, but, for everybody.
Okay, whatever that club is, it sounds like a good time. I do really like that genre of music. And let me just say, as someone who spent a year and a half going to all the big raves, I have more fun listening to that music stone cold sober, because I use it as my walking music, as my running music, and those natural endorphin highs, those are really nice. Of course, Try explaining that to a 22-year-old.
And to outmaneuver this crisis, earlier this year, LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn's office bought and distributed thousands of these test kits throughout her district. If you want to buy one, they're about $10 online. But again, if you live in West Hollywood, they are for free. And you can find the information on how to get them for free by going to the KTLA app or at ktla.com. Rick and Karine will send it back to you.
All right, Sarah, we thank you for that.
So this is the latest idea coming out of West Hollywood, and it's also been adopted in other parts of LA County. I'd love to hear what you think about this. Because, on one hand, it's good to make sure that nobody's accidentally taking fentanyl and accidentally endangering their lives. But you could also argue, isn't this whole idea being a little too permissive to the overall drug culture that we have amongst our young people? So what do you think about this? I'm opening up the phones right now. 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Do you think it is a wise use of taxpayer funds for the city of West Hollywood to be passing out free fentanyl testing kits at all the clubs? 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this will make sure that nobody is taking fentanyl that doesn't want to be taking fentanyl and they can enjoy their other drugs because they're young and dumb? Or do you think this is just way too permissive to the already mess that we have on our hands with young people doing all the drugs? 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. What do you think about West Hollywood's plan to pass out free fentanyl testing strips to anyone that wants them? 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Get on the line right now. I want to hear what you think about this. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. The city of West Hollywood, in their latest effort to combat the fentanyl crisis, wants to pass out free fentanyl testing kits to anyone that wants them. You can get up to 5 per month to make sure that whatever drugs you were going to do don't have fentanyl in them. Do you think this is a good idea? I'm torn on this. 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Vera in Torrance. Vera, hello.
Hey, God bless you. I've been where you been. I didn't do you very adventurous, the stuff that you did. But I remember when they used to grow rock cocaine on a crystal plate. Anyway, beyond all that, we got a lot of kids that are ordering stuff. And to save the good, like you got saved. The other ones, they're going to die by the wayside anyway. I mean, so save the kids. Give them a second chance. You got a second chance. I got a second chance. Hey, I could tell you a whole lot of stories about the drug scene, but not as extensive as you. You need to be drug, what do you call it, Zalazar or whatever you call it, the big deal, that know what the freak he talking about. Hey.
Oh boy, I'm lucky to be here with a fully functional brain after all the stupid things I did in my 20s, because it could have gone south so many different ways on so many different days.
Yeah, they don't know what you know. You experienced it. You're God's gift. Keep on talking. Keep on preaching. And if they need to give it out, give it out. Maybe another Randy will come out of it.
Maybe.
And the other ones,
well, thank you.
They're going to die. We can't
Well,
stop
that's the thing. That's what I do understand about this. We want to make sure nobody is accidentally overdosing on this poison that is out on our streets. So thank you so much for the call. As always, Vera, appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. The city of West Hollywood, in an effort to fight the fentanyl crisis, wants to offer free testing kits to anybody that wants them. So whether it's people that are ordering prescription drugs on Snapchat or they're buying ecstasy at the club, they can make sure that the drugs that they are doing aren't laced with fentanyl. Do you think this is a good idea, or do you think this is just enabling the drug culture? 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll get to all of your calls next. Get on the phone right now and give me a call on this. 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222, especially if you have kids, because you know they're going to do some dumb stuff in their 20s. 800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We're taking your phone calls right now at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. The city of West Hollywood, in an effort to fight the fentanyl crisis, wants to pass out free fentanyl testing kits to anyone that wants them. You can get up to 5 per month to make sure whatever the drug is that you were going to do doesn't have fentanyl in it and you won't accidentally OD. What do you think? Is this a good idea, or is this a little too permissive of the drug culture? 800-222-5222. Let's start with Dave in Whittier. Dave, hello.
Hi, Randy. Now, you and I can see a practical application for this. And you're torn because, yes, it is too permissive. There's some other things to consider here. Why? Liberal means liberally unethical, okay? Liberally unprincipled. And why aren't these same people in Hollywood and school districts, city councilmen, calling for a city ballot initiative to create classes on illicit drug use, classes educating on the harmful effects of illicit drug use? And if they're not doing that, they shouldn't be doing this. They can come, and you see it. You'll see this next year. In the primary, you'll see all these cities. Watch for them on your fences all over the city. School board calling for a school bond, this, Measure M, this, that. You see them every single election year for money. Well, why aren't they doing this? There should be, whether it's I believe that there should be a state ballot initiative started by somebody to create mandatory drug education in schools, curricula, and it's not happening. So unless that happens, no, you don't do this.
Well, I think you make a strong point. I will say, the problem is, even if we have really good courses, there's always going to be a certain population of the kids. They're not going to believe a word of it. They're going to think it's all propaganda, or they'll think it's all nonsense. Like, I remember being in the third grade, and the dare to get rid of drugs people showed up to my elementary school, and they told us, don't ever do pot because a marijuana cigarette is 100 times more deadly than a regular cigarette. And like, well, that doesn't seem real.
Well, there needs to be parental education through the schools, and mandatory, some sort of classes that are mandatory, and that kids have to do homework about the harmful effects of marijuana, and they are there, such as birth defects of behavioral and learning problems, lowering the IQ by 8 points, causing also depression, causing kids to drop out, sterility, and a host of other things, and leading to it is a gateway drug to other drug uses. And this needs to be done. It has to be. It has to be.
Well, you make a really strong case for it. Thanks so much for the call, Dave. Appreciate it. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. Let's go to Mike in Glendale. Mike, hello.
Yeah, hi, Randy. This whole thing is stupid. What's next? Let's give the dope dealers clean dope to sell. I mean, it's just horrible. Either put these people away in jail. In fact, you take the names of everybody that signs up for to get these 5 test kits. You put those on a registry. You go knock on their door, and you throw them into a rehab program. How about funding Prop 36 and doing that?
Well, they're not going to do that.
You can't just keep doing this. Oh, no, absolutely not. Nothing with common sense. But
and by the way, Mike, the thing that you said it in jest, but let me just say, in Vancouver, in Canada, they literally do have something called safe supply, where the government gets you heroin that's clean.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Let's become Canada now. That's great. No, but the previous caller, I believe Dave, said something about pretty much traffic school for traffic school didn't work for us. It's not going to work for dope dealers, dope users, nothing like that. These people are stupid. They don't know what they're doing. That's why they're on dope. That's why it's called dope. You need to cut this off. Just start arresting people. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Of course, you got to remember, we don't put people in jail for fentanyl dealing or usage. Prop 36, we're starting to. We don't put people in jail for cocaine. I don't think we're going to start putting people in jail for ecstasy. Maybe we should. I don't know. Let's go to Lana in Santa Monica. Lana, hello.
Hello. How are you?
Doing great.
Hello? Great. I think if people that are using fentanyl want to make sure it's safe, then they should pay for the test strips. This is just another scam where the government is involved in it, and they're probably, paying 5 times as much for these test strips, and they're passing it on to the taxpayers. I have children. I don't want it tested like that. If they need to get it tested, then they need to pay for it themselves. And guess what? A few people dying from fentanyl, maybe that will wake people up. That's how people wake up, by seeing the destruction of it.
That's an interesting point. The testing kits are only $10 if people are really that invested and want to make sure that whatever they're doing isn't laced with fentanyl. Do we really need to be paying for it for them when they can already? It's not like they can't get these testing kits.
No, sell them at 7-Eleven with everything else.
Yeah. I'll get a Slim Jim, a Narcan, and a testing kit. I'll be good to go.
And the Narcan's free.
The Narcan is free, and you're right. There is a whole... the state of California manufactures its own Narcan. So, of course, we're going to give it away everywhere now.
But we can't stop the fentanyl use, because then we won't have the homeless. So then we won't be able to have all these people build the housing for the housing crisis. So we're not. There's fentanyl and drugs aren't going anywhere because we wouldn't have the homeless.
There is a lot of truth to what you are saying, and how it's all connected to the same nonsense we talk about every single day here. Lana, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. The city of West Hollywood, in an effort to fight the fentanyl crisis and make sure nobody accidentally overdoses on some other drug that they didn't know had fentanyl in it, is passing out free fentanyl testing kits. You can get 5 per month. Do you think this is a good idea, or is this a little too permissive for the drug culture? 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. More of your calls coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go back to the phones on the city of West Hollywood wanting to pass out fentanyl testing strips. Let's go to Roger in Upland. Roger, hello.
Hi, Randy. As I listen to this, I hear that we're talking about people wanting to test their drugs, and ultimately what we're trying to do is, if they keep at it long enough, they're going to commit suicide. And the other half of this problem is the fact that we have all these people that are out there to assist them by selling them drugs. And I don't know how we solve this problem.
I mean, this is something that's been in our culture for a very long time, and these substances will find their way to young people no matter what we do about it, it seems. I mean, I don't think any culture has figured out how to get rid of this stuff entirely.
That's the entire problem here, is how do you get rid of it? As long as you have a demand, there's going to be people supplying it illegally or even legally. And as long as people have lost their balance here and decide they want to take these drugs, they're going to do it. So sooner or later, we're going to have to admit the fact that we're going to have a certain portion of our population that commits suicide by using these drugs every year.
And that's what we're seeing every single year. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Of course, there is a difference, I guess you could say, between the people that they know they're doing opioids, they know this is the life they've gone down, to the people that they took something that was given to them. They had no idea what it was. But I understand it. I don't know what we do about this. I don't know how you change that culture. This is the world that we're in, and young people want to do stupid things. Young people want to get out of their heads. Hey, look at this. 790 KABC welcomes Billy Gibbons and the BFG Band at the City National Grove of Anaheim on January 25th, 2026. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Nederlander Concerts. Good luck dialing. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. So I've told you the craziest thing about me in the last few weeks is that because I'm trying to maximize the value on all of my credit cards, I'm becoming an incredibly social person, because otherwise I'm just eating all this money. So one of the benefits that I have on my Chase Sapphire Reserve card is a twice a year $150 dining credit. And it is kind of complicated for how this thing works, because it says it's an open table credit. So what you have to do is link your card with Open Table, and then it's not for any restaurant. It's for a specifically curated list of higher end restaurants in big cities like Los Angeles. So you look through and they have specific tables that are reserved for Sapphire members. It's so fancy. So I'm like, well, we better use this thing because the credit expires December 31st. So during the week, I looked up what would look good, what places looked like it would be something my wife and I would like to try. And we ended up finding this restaurant that I would have never heard of otherwise in Hollywood called Gwen. It's on Sunset near Cahuenga. And it is a fancy butcher shop that also is a restaurant with some really incredible food. And we sat down at what's called the chef's counter, which means that you're sitting at a bar, but instead of sitting at a bar in front of a bartender, you're sitting at a bar that's around the kitchen and you're watching them prepare the food, which if you're a foodie like me, you know you're going to have a good time. Let me just tell you a couple of things. One, the charcuterie here, which is what they're known for, oh my goodness. They have duck speck, and it's some of the best cured meat I've ever had in my life. They also had a crispy duck leg cassoulet with beans that had duck bacon in them. That was one of the best things. It might be the best duck leg I've ever had in my life. We also got a flat iron steak because we love steaks, and the steak was very good. It was very moderately priced, but I think I make a better steak at home, but it was wonderful. They had these duck fat. There's a lot of duck in everything. Have you noticed that? These duck fat fries, they were really good as well. But the food was incredible. They even gave us this roasted sung choke as an amuse-bouche. It was really nice. But this is the funniest thing about this place. The food was going to be great. We, in fact, went to the butcher shop at front and took some of that duck speck home with us and their Wagyu brasol, which is cured beef. We're going to give that to our neighbors as an early Christmas present because they love their fancy cured meats. But typically, you go to a nice restaurant, maybe you have a cocktail. Their cocktails were wonderful. My wife had a tequila drink that was very unique, and I had a duck fat martini. Again, duck fat in everything. Love it. We each had a glass of wine since we got duck and we got a steak. We had one glass of cab. We had one glass of Pinot. Everything was great. But the thing that we will never forget about this restaurant, and it is so ingenious, and I thought it was so much fun, and honestly, I enjoyed doing it more than I enjoyed the cocktail or the wine, was you sit down and they've got this little book, and it is their water menu. And, you know, typically you go to a restaurant, oh, would you like flat? Would you like still? Would you like sparkling? Would you like tap? Well, At Gwen in Hollywood, they've got a water menu where you can choose bottles of very fancy imported sparkling mineral water. We're not just talking about, San Pellegrino, and we're not just talking about Perrier. No, 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 no. So they tell you about the bottle, where it's from, and then it's got a little scale of like saltiness and mineraliness. And first thing we ordered was a bottle of Vichy Catalan, which is a Spanish water from Barcelona. And it was perfectly salty. My wife loved it. The second bottle that we got was a Gerolsteiner. I'm going to say that one wrong too. That's the German one, which apparently you can get at Trader Joe's. So I'm going to have to look into that. It was a little less salty, but I really like the balanced flavor of it. Then the guy's like, well, if you like salty, it's a smaller bottle, but you got to try this one from Georgia, not Georgia, USA, Georgia in Eastern Europe. It's called Borjomi. And it was very salty, but very nice. But ultimately, we ended up saying that we like the Vichy Catalan the best. And we told the waiter that. And we got a fourth bottle, ended the night with the Vichy Catalan. At this point, we weren't going to order any other cocktails or wine. We were obsessed with the water tastings. Plus, these things are like $10. When we closed out and paid our bill, which again, I got $150 off of it because I used my Chase Sapphire card, they brought us for free a bottle of the Vichy Catalan and a bottle of the Gerolsteiner. And that was like the nicest thing. They could tell how much we are enjoying it, how much we love doing the water tastings. We talked about how we're going to Europe soon. It was so sweet. We will definitely be going back there. It was a fantastic meal. The service was incredible. This was so worth doing something that we never do, fighting through Friday night traffic to get to Hollywood for a 7:45 reservation. And we left the Valley at 6:45 and we got there at 7:44. Just barely made it, but it was such a good time. Their charcuteries and their sliced meats, and they even sell them right there at the front in the butcher shop. Just incredible. The duck, if you like duck, you've got to go here. But again, the thing that I will remember forever about this place, and it's so fun, and especially if you're someone that doesn't drink, this is so much fun, is doing the water tastings and trying all the fancy waters. I've got those bottles in the fridge right now, and I'm going to tell you right now, if I can find a case of this Gerolsteiner at Trader Joe's, I'm going to get one because I love fancy European sparkling mineral water. I'm going to have so much calcium, it's going to be great. And again, I got to do all that, and I never thought to do it, except I wanted to use up this $150 credit on my Chase Sapphire Reserve card. So I thought that was pretty cool. Thank you all so much for listening to this show. I'm also in for Johnny for another 2 days. So if you like this, you get even more of it, noon to 3 and 5 to 6. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC.